when stuff hits the fan and the business is going down, the business slows up and your stress levels at an all-time high, all you want to do is just crawl up in the ball and just be like, oh my goodness, woe is me, what is happening, blah, 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 blah. Like, you need to remember why you decided to be an entrepreneur. Like, you decided to be an entrepreneur because you was willing to risk some of these feelings. You was willing to risk to get all the highs, and then you was gonna get all the lows with it. But when the lows come, don't act like you wasn't prepared to handle the lows, okay? Like, remember that you're an entrepreneur and you're literally built to solve problems. You're built to like adjust and see what's happening. Like, get out your funk, tighten up your bootstraps, and go to work. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 9% Show. I am your host, Steven Burton, and here at the 9%, y'all know we keep everything 100. If I haven't done it, not doing it, or not about to do it, it will not come out my mouth. So welcome, everybody, once again to the 9% Show. Like we always do, we take a toast to the 9%ers out there and those that want to get into the 9% Club. Toast to everybody. Yes. So, on today's episode, like I said, the title, we keep everything 100 around here. And these are one of those episodes where we ain't gonna talk about everything good. Matter of fact, we gonna talk about when stuff hit the fan, okay? When stuff hit the fan in your business, how do you move with it? We're gonna talk about how successful entrepreneurs handle adversity when a business slowdown happens. So, these are one of these subjects that, like, literally, again, I talk about stuff because I'm going through it or I've done it. Like, it is what it is. And so, honestly, creating this video and preparing for this video is kind of mirroring reality. Like, not everything always goes sweet in my business. Like, my beef with online gurus out there and everything like that. Like, I'm only being real with y'all. Like, y'all know I own perfecttux, perfecttux.com, and everything isn't always sweet. Everything hasn't always been sweet. And so I know exactly what it feels like when business isn't looking good. Maybe business is down versus last year. Maybe you just like losing money. You're not profitable, or just like you're close to running out of money. Like what do you do? So going through that mentally, it's so hard and such a it can really freeze you, like get you like so depressed and so you just don't want to handle it. You could bury your head in the sand, or you could just bury your head in the bed and don't want to get out the bed and things like that. It's such a mental a disaster, dealing with a failing or a slowdown in your business. And so I'm going to give some tips that I use, and even things that after getting through the storm, I look back on it and be like, okay, if I would have did it like this, or if I would have been prepared like this, it would have kind of helped it. So we're talking about when adversity hits and just how do you handle it, okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about this episode. So let's get ready to dive into this thing. Again, I got about 6 tips. I'm going to give you 6 points we go hit. And we're going to start with number 1, okay? Number 1 is recognizing the business slowdown, and recognize it with data. Okay, I always speak on this show about the importance of data, and that you should not make any business move in your business without having some numbers driving that decision. And the same way you can do it for positive stuff, you can also recognize when stuff is hitting the fan, maybe before it's hitting the fan. So that type of data could be your profit and loss sheet. It could be we have an online store, so your Shopify store, your Google Analytics, whatever you have. Like, we just did an episode, and we'll link to the importance of bookkeeping and records. This is also why it's important. You want to know that stuff is like trending the way it's trending. For me and my business, pretty much how the first part of the year starts, it tells me how the rest of the year most likely will go. And it's not a situation, because it's not that you got this ultimate crystal ball and you know what's going to happen, because you don't know what's happening. All of a sudden things could turn around, and maybe you could have the greatest end of the year that you ever had. But when you recognize the slowdown early and you recognize things happening and you're looking at the data and you're saying, okay, well, traffic is down or our average order value is down or whatever the case may be, might be down, you're at least able to start planning for it. And then if all goes well and, you don't need what you're planning for and things go well, then it's all good and it's business as usual. But you really want to be able to get ahead of it and recognize it as early as possible because, the earlier you can act on this stuff really makes a difference on how you can, the time you have to shift for it, the time you have to plan for it. If you have to make some, we're going to be talking about a lot of other steps here, but all the things I'm about to speak on, if you have to act upon any of those things, it's really good to know about it early. Okay. And to know about it with data, because data is what's going to do it. Sometimes you could be it could be feeling like good. You could be having lots of sales and things like that going good. And next thing you know, you're like, okay, how's my bank account? Where's my money? What do I got to show for it? But maybe the cash flow wasn't positive. Maybe you're paying back a loan or something and all the money that you're making, because on your P&L statement, generally how it goes, you only recognize the interest. And so maybe the principal that you've been paying is literally just coming out of your, not showing on your business bottom line, but it's showing in your bank account. So it's all these type of things when it comes to a business and your numbers and how things operate, that you really want to be aware of and have those proper signals and proper signs to know, a slowdown is happening. So that's the number one thing. Just recognize a slowdown or recognize your business is in a slowdown. You want to recognize that with data. Okay. The number two thing we're going to talk about is, reassess your situation, reassess your business strategy with fresh eyes. A lot of times when things are hitting the fan, you're like, you're already in the mix of your business. You're in the day-to-day grind of it. Maybe you've been in your business like me for a few years and it's like, it's kind of like the same mundane things and you're constantly working. When stuff hits the fan, you really want to sit back and reassess everything what you're going on. Reassess all your business expenses. Maybe you can cut some costs somewhere. Maybe some things that you say if it's like me, there's so much stuff going through my business account and my business credit cards that I'm like, oh, I forgot that I was paying this monthly fee for this. Or oh my goodness, our returns is it's 18% when last year was 15%. Maybe there's something going on there or just whatever the case may be. You want to be able to just look at it at all angles and just really dissect it, because maybe some of your business slowdown is a simple fix. You want to start looking at let's say your traffic is down, which is leading to sales going down. Then that leads you to do some more research there. And you might realize, oh, your page ranking on Google dropped, or you're no longer ranking on this and you need to do some SEO adjustments or whatever the case may be. Or you might be saying, the cost of one of my vendors, that their prices went up and I didn't even really recognize it. So I need to raise my prices. Or you might say your customer buying habits has changed and you just really want to okay, we need to shift it here or shift our marketing strategy. Whatever the case may be, you want to look at your business with fresh eyes from just a top looking on, and just don't get caught up in what you was doing and what's always been working. Business changes. People change, your customers change, the flow of business changes, and you just have to be ready to recognize it. Also, a thing you might want to do is seek some advice. Maybe, you looking at the same thing all the time is not necessarily fresh eyes. Have somebody come on and that could look at your situation, look at your business and let them walk you through it. If you don't have that person and you don't have nobody in your network for that, I would recommend finding some free resources in your area. The Small Business Development Center is great. Score.org is great. Those are two, the SBA. The Small Business Development Center is connected to the SBA. But your local college, community college, whatever the case may be, I think you might find some people, your local chamber of commerce, whatever it is, find somebody that you could seek out that can look at your business, maybe look at your books, maybe look at some things and say, did you realize on this loan, your interest rate is 20 something percent? Like you're paying that like so much, or maybe you flip this around. Like there's so many different ways to think about it, or say, they might say, you're spending X amount on this. Did you know if you bulk buy it, you would save half and blah, blah, blah. Like whatever the case may be, all of it, fresh eyes is something you want to seek when your business is going down, because obviously there might be something that you're just not spotting, or maybe something you're not doing well. So you want to really have an honest look at everything and have really have fresh eyes on your situation. So I highly suggest doing that. All right. Number 3, okay. You want to have a financial safety net. Okay. I speak on it all the time. As soon as you get your business to any point where you're operating, when things are good, you need to start setting up a line of credit for your business. You need to start setting up just access to capital. And I specifically say a line of credit because that is something that you have. Usually it's like a 5-year term or whatever the case may be. But it's something you can access capital, and you don't have to apply for something. You don't have to apply for a loan every time you do it. Because the rule that I always say is like, you never apply for credit when you need it desperately. And the great thing with a line of credit is because you already was approved for it. Hopefully you applied for it when things was great. And you just want to have that safety net available to you when there is a slowdown. Maybe it's just a temporary hiccup. Maybe there's just something going on and you just need enough money to get you to your next peak season, or get you to any other part of your business. Or maybe there's just a large expense that you just had to have. You just had to pay for some inventory, and now it's a crunch of some of your numbers. So you really want to make sure your financial safety net is together, and that also takes planning ahead. And that's also what this is about. So if you're watching this video and everything is great in your business, or maybe you're just starting a business, you want to think about your access to capital as soon as possible. And I specifically say a line of credit. It's a lot better. Your interest rate's a lot better. You don't want to just rely on just credit cards, because those interest rates are crazy on credit cards. And so you really want to have that set up. Okay. Some things that's always kind of good is like, merchant loans. You might have something with like Shopify Capital, Stripe has capital, Square has capital, PayPal has working capital loans and things like that. That's strictly based off your sales. They don't check your credit. It's not, it's a really good source, but then you want to think about that, correctly, because honestly, I've had a situation where I've tapped into some of those type of loans. And those are great, but you also got to realize, like, let me just tell a real example here. I tapped into a Shopify Capital loan one time, and my goal was for it to get us to our peak season. And the way they give you or offer you these loans is, their calculations that it's going to take you 10 months to pay off, which is all good if it takes, 10 months and then slowly chop away at the time. But if business was really good, which it was, and I had a whole bunch of sales in 1 or 2 months, and I literally paid that loan back that I was planning to pay back in 10 months, and I paid it back in 2 months, that means like literally, let's say $50,000 was paid back all in 1 month because of that much sales that was happening. That's not good. Versus if it was a line of credit or a regular loan and it's just your monthly payment, you just make that, $1,000 payment here. You still got all that cash flow, positive cash flow, which has happened. And then your next month payment, pay there. Maybe you pay down your line of credit, things like that. So that's a situation where some of those merchant type loans can come back to bite you because it messes with your cash flow there. So you really want to think about this stuff. And this is the type of advice I guarantee you won't get nowhere else and nowhere on no channel, because if you don't know about it if you never went through it. And it's a situation where you think you're doing the right thing and getting access to certain type of capital, but it's some type of capital that can, also have a negative impact on you. So be wise with it. I just highly suggest having a line of credit, specifically a line of credit through hopefully a major bank. But you can also get line of credits through American Express, a line of credits through Cabbage and things like that. So there's a lot of lines of credit situations out there. Not all of them are the same, but built the same. I got the same type of terms, but you definitely want to just be in a good position where a business downturn doesn't turn into, the end of your business. You just want to be able to get through that hump, to get to the other side. Okay. All right, let's get on to number 4. Okay. Number 4 is to remember your why. Okay. You want to rekindle that entrepreneur spirit. And I say this because trust me, when stuff hits the fan and the business is going down, the business slows up and your stress levels at an all-time high, all you want to do is just crawl up in the ball and just be like, oh my goodness, woe is me, what is happening, blah, 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 blah. Like, you need to remember why you decided to be an entrepreneur. Like, you decided to be an entrepreneur because you was willing to risk some of these feelings. You was willing to risk to get all the highs, and then you was gonna get all the lows with it. But when the lows come, don't act like you wasn't prepared to handle the lows, okay? Like, remember that you're an entrepreneur and you're literally built to solve problems. You're built to like adjust and see what's happening. Like, get out your funk, tighten up your bootstraps, and go to work and start figuring this thing out. Trust me, I get it. I know it's hard. I know, and I'm not saying, hey, you gonna have your day. You might have a couple two days or 3 days, but don't let them 2-3 days turn into a week and turn into a couple weeks, then turn into a month, because what good is that doing? You running from the problem, being scared of the problem. You need to just be thankful that you're in a position where you can handle the problem, because like I've mentioned plenty of times in the past, a regular W-2 employee, when stuff hit the fan in some people's lives, the most you can do is hopefully ask for a raise or get another job. Or if the fan is in the company, you might be the one to go. So it's like, be thankful that you are in a position that you can bust moves, that you can get access to capital, that you can do all this stuff. Like, appreciate where you at, remember your why, and attack it like how you was when you first got started. For myself, I got to think back to like, okay, I remember when I first started the business and we didn't have hardly any sales, and I had to like survive and get to the point where to get the business profitable. Was that easier than the stuff I'm going through now? Like, now I got line of credit to support me. Now I got XYZ. I got way more expenses now and the business is bigger. So it goes hand in hand. But the whole point of the matter is, this is why I got into this. This is why I love entrepreneurship. And this is why I love being a business owner. And you just can't love the highs. You got to love the lows too, because it's inevitable. It's going to come. Okay. That's what life is. All right. So number 5 thing we go talk about is make tough decisions. It might seem obvious, but tough decisions sound real good until you have to make tough decisions. Is it a great situation to say, oh, I might need to sell the business, or I might need to sell a part of my business, or I might need to take this L on this retail shop I just built and all this money and like everything I just invested, but I gotta do it for this to go down, or maybe I have to let this employee go, or I have to cut these hours, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you need to say, you know what, we need to shift our whole line of thinking. I just did my whole refresh of the business and looking at it with fresh eyes, and fresh eyes tell me I need to make some drastic changes. Be prepared to make those, and know sometimes you just got to live to fight another day. Maybe you're taking a short-term L right now, but as long as the business is surviving and you're giving yourself a shot, and maybe you might just be saying, let me just get through next year. Let me get to my next peak season. Let me just get to something else. We go figure this thing out. Like, business is so fluid like that, where you're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. It is what it is, but you just have to be prepared to pull the trigger on some things that just doesn't feel good. Okay. Personally, I haven't had to do this per se. I've had some situations with friends and, other business partners, or not business partners, but other business, peers of mine have, been in certain situations. And like I said, I just know it's nothing good when you feel like, let alone when you feel like you might have made a bad, business decision. and you have to face the funk on that. Maybe it's time to pull the plug on something. Maybe it's like time to take your losses and just say, you know what, it is what it is. Just like I said, just know that these tough decisions hopefully is in a position to keep the business afloat and give yourself another shot. The ultimate tough decision is like, knowing when the business comes to an end, and that would just suck. And we're not able to get on that level. But hopefully some of these tough decisions you make that just really sucks. You don't want to do it. It just is what it is, but it's about the survival of the business. And just be prepared to make that, okay? The last tip we're going to talk about, number 6, is early action is key. Do not wait till the last minute. The first tip or the first point we made was recognizing the business slowdown. And that goes hand in hand with this of like taking early action. Like, don't put yourself in the position where everything has hit the fan. Maybe you tried to take the water out the boat and you trying to take the water out the boat and now it's all full. And now you're like, help, help, help. Like, don't wait that long. Okay, you need to act as early as possible. Start preparing your financial safety net. Start making sure things will start saying, okay, well, I might be okay to get through this now, but like, man, I don't know if I'm going to survive 6 months from now. Let me prepare for 6 months from now. Let me start doing this. Let me start cutting things back. Let me start pulling back on these expenses. Let me start before you need to. Because like I said, the last thing in the world that you want to do is to be in a position where you're looking for help, looking for credit, looking for capital when you need it desperately. You're trying to make business decisions where like literally you're about to go out of business next week. Like you don't have enough to cover payroll and you're trying to then adjust. Like you need to act early. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it sucks to think about it. Who wants to think about this stuff? You don't want to hear it. You don't want to wake up out of the bed. Everything's stressful to you, but you need to attack it, and you need to attack it early, okay? Because just because you don't think it's there, it's like, everybody can relate to getting bills in the mail. Just because you don't open the bill or you don't accept the phone call, does that mean you don't owe it or they ain't coming? Like the stuff, you got to rip the Band-Aid off, okay? And attack it early. So those are my tips. I hope this helps with anybody out there that's dealing with the business slowdown, dealing with anything going on in your business that you feel just super stressed with. Because trust me, I get it. I understand it. This is the 9%. The 9% is just not about everything going good. Like and the thing about it too, you find yourself realizing it's just not me. It's just not me. So it's just not you. Like from the larger scale to businesses struggling, they talk about Tesla right now, and cutting this business, cutting this and cutting this people. Like, businesses have cycles. It is what it is. The challenging part for most of us that owns a small business and, it's really impactful because the business struggling can lead to your personal finances struggling because we're really tied into that. So, it's not like we're a CEO of this major company and I'm still getting my salary, like no matter what. So it is slightly different for us on a smaller scale. And, like I said, just know you're not alone. Heck, if you are going through it right now, if you feel anything, put it in the comments. Let me know what it is. I'll be happy to just, give you some words of encouragement or just, maybe we set up a time to chat and maybe I could be your fresh eyes, just leave it in the comments. You never know. Closed mouths do not get fed. So with all that being said, I will catch you next time on the 9%. Man, please like, subscribe to the channel. Continue to share this information. If this show was anything worthwhile to you, share it to somebody. Spread the word. We are here. Until next time, I'll catch you on the 9%. Peace.